Hey everyone, welcome back to the Jackie Tan podcast. I'm so very glad that you're with me today. Before we dive into today's episode, I just want to take a quick moment to say if you enjoy these conversations and find them helpful, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if today's topic resonates with you, I'd love it if you could take a few seconds to leave a rating or a review. It really helps the show reach more people who might need a little extra inspiration or guidance on their own journeys. Thank you so much for being here, for your support, and for helping us grow this amazing community. Now let's jump in. All right, here we go. Another solo episode. You'd think I'd be a pro at this by now. I mean, I did one a couple of weeks ago. I did a whole 12 days of Quotemas. I don't know if you remember that this time last year. No, not this time, because it's not 12 days until Christmas. Thank goodness. I don't know where my brain is at. But what I'm trying to say, you'd think I'd be a little better at this. But here I am, overthinking every word like I'm about to perform a Shakespeare play for an audience. But no, it's just me and this microphone. And you, of course, listening. Thank you if you're still here. It's one thing to have guests on the show and share their incredible stories, but sitting here alone, talking basically right now to myself out loud, turns out it's kind of weird. But the best part about today is that the topic is overthinking. So it's like a live demo of the subject in real time. Perfect, right? So let's dive in, overthinking and all, and see if we can walk away with a few tricks to quiet that voice in our heads, or at least in my head. Because if you can figure it out, wait, no, that's not what I meant. Because if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Oh my goodness, we are on fire. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start with the obvious. What exactly is overthinking? So basically, in my experience, it's that never-ending mental hamster wheel we all jump on. It's when we're lying in bed, replaying that one conversation from 3 years ago, wondering if we sounded like an idiot. We all know it. We all hate it. And yet, we're all still doing it. And if you don't resonate to this and you're not doing this, can you get in touch and tell me your secrets, please? Yeah. What I'm starting to learn is that overthinking isn't about finding answers. It's about going in circles. It's the mental equivalent of running on a treadmill but expecting to arrive at a destination. And spoiler alert, you don't get anywhere. But that's really good for you, so keep doing that if you're using the treadmill. So when I finally decided that I do way too much of this overthinking and wondering if I'm saying the right thing, saying the thing that I want to say in the way that I want to say it, and that it's coming across the way that I want it to come across. Did I use the right word? What was that word again? You know, that I can't think of that word. Fast forward to 3 a.m. in the morning. That was the word. You know, what's causing all of that overthinking? Well, here's the deal, at least I think. It usually comes down to perfectionism, fear of failure, or some embarrassing moment that our brain just won't let go of. You know, the usual things. And don't get me started on social media. It's just this big overthinking playground. You post a picture, you wonder if the picture looks all right, you overanalyze every possible angle that people might take on it. And then, I mean, if it's a video, you break down every single word that you said because could that be misconstrued or someone call you out because it's not exactly the facts, or is it facts, or should I be exhausting. If you're listening to this, maybe not all of it resonates, but maybe you're still wondering if you're an overthinker and what could you gain from this episode. Well, I put together a checklist. So if any of these resonate with you, then potentially you're an overthinker. So, number one, do you replay moments in your head like you're Spielberg editing the director's cut of every awkward thing you've ever said? Yep. Do you ever start a simple task and suddenly you're knee deep in the what if spiral? What if I fail? What if everyone finds out that I fail? What if I end up living in a tiny cabin in the woods with 3 cats named after my regrets? Ever start washing the dishes? Then suddenly you're wondering if you accidentally offended your dentist last year and they secretly hate you? Or what about that time where you said, you too, to a waiter who told you to enjoy your meal, and then you spend the next decade wondering if they're thinking of that exact same moment as well? Do you ever start a quick shower, but then you're suddenly reenacting every argument that you lost and you're thinking, what about this and what about that time? And another point is to your shampoo bottle. Or maybe you're out for a walk and suddenly you're thinking about what you might do or how you would react if a bear showed up in the middle of the city or along the beach, because, just in case. I've definitely done that. If you're nodding along, welcome to the Overthinking Club. The thing is, we've got to stop overthinking this habit. Wait a minute. We've give me a second. We've got to stop the overthinking habit. Got it. So not only is it exhausting, but it also eats away at our confidence. Every time we start picking apart our choices, we're basically saying, hey, I don't trust you to make a decision without spiraling into a mental maze. And when that pattern repeats, it only makes us feel more stuck and unsure. So if you want to trust yourself and make more decisions without an entire mental committee meeting, it's time to break this cycle. But let's talk just quickly, but just let's for a moment and very quickly talk about self-trust for a second, because it is like the antidote to antidote to overthinking. Exhibit A. A lot of the time, we overthink because we don't fully trust ourselves or our choices or even our ability to handle what happens next. We're caught up in what ifs because we don't believe that we can handle a wrong turn if it comes. And learning to trust ourselves, it sounds easy, but it's a journey. And trust me, the overthinking brain loves to make us question everything. So let's look at why we don't trust ourselves, because I think if we can get to the bottom of that and have this understanding, because building self-awareness as well, and that's incredibly important. If we can have an understanding around that, then all the processes next will come easier. They won't be easy, but they'll be easier. So why don't we trust ourselves in the first place? We've all got our reasons: past mistakes, fear of what other people think, society's obsession with perfect everything. So it's no wonder we overthink things. But here are some strategies to build self-trust. First, let's talk about what to do when overthinking hits, because it's not about pretending that it's not there or that we're not doing it. It's about catching it, questioning it, and then understanding where it's coming from. When you find yourself overthinking, pause. Ask yourself, why am I overthinking this? What has triggered it? Is this fear from a past experience, or maybe just self-doubt? Sometimes just asking those questions can help put the brakes on. And once you're aware of it, you can start to build trust and quiet the mental noise. So start small. You don't need to solve world peace. Start with a simple decision, commit to it, and follow through. It could be something as small as deciding what to eat for lunch and sticking with it. No second guessing allowed. By putting in the reps, and I've said this before, you build your self trust muscle. You know, like we build muscles. We go into the gym, we're consistent, and our muscles grow. It's the same with self trust. The more we commit to making a decision and follow through with it, we are building trust in ourselves that when we say we're going to do something, we do it. Next is embracing mistakes as learning. And yeah, I know mistakes suck. But here's the thing, they are where the growth happens. Mistakes aren't disasters, they're data points. Every time we learn something from a mistake, we're proving to ourselves that we can handle things, we can do hard things, we can grow and become even better, that mistake revealed something we wouldn't have seen or known had we not made that mistake. And I think back to my career and the mistakes that I made, and there were many. And there was a time where I wished that they hadn't happened. And I wonder where I would be if I made a different choice. And then it's so weird because I then get this worry kind of feeling because had I not made those mistakes, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today. And that's scary because even though I'm not where I want to be or, career wise, or I'm not earning what I want to be earning, I'm not doing the things, I'm not doing the dream yet, I'm still so happy and grateful for where I am. And I'm so proud of the person that I am and so thankful that I've met so many incredible people and I've built really beautiful relationships because of everything that has happened for me to get here where I am today. So even though the plans didn't go perfectly and, shit hits the fan or shit hit the fan, these are the moments that we grow. Short-term pain is long-term gain. Always remember that. Practice self-compassion. So being kinder to ourselves is like building a little mental shield. Think of those knights back in the day. I mean, back in the very old days, when they had those metal knight armor stuff. Yeah, think of that. That's what self-compassion is. Or you can imagine talking to a friend. You wouldn't call them a failure every time they slipped up. So why would you do it to yourself? Give yourself the same grace. Celebrate your wins. Every time you make a choice and stick to it, that's a little win. And believe it or not, those little wins start to build self-trust. And over time, these add up and start to quiet that overthinking voice because you're building evidence that yes, you can make good choices and follow through with them. Okay, so let's talk about overthinking a conversation because I've done many of those. You know how it goes. You say one thing and then 5 minutes later, your brain has launched a full-scale investigation. Did I say that right? Did I sound weird? Wait, maybe that's why they didn't laugh. I like to think I'm funny. So here's the deal. If you want to break out of that loop, you got to add a little perspective, a bit of self-compassion, and stick to the facts. No imaginary dialogue, no dramatic interpretations. Here's the game plan to finally cancel that overthinking show. First, notice when you're replaying that conversation for the 100th time. Overthinking often disguises itself as problem solving, but the truth is there is no new outcome here, just a loop. So if you catch yourself, take a deep breath and call it what it is, overthinking. Ask yourself, is this helpful? Sometimes just pausing and asking yourself, is rehashing this actually helping? Can snap you out of the cycle. Chances are the answer is no, and you're only feeding your own anxiety. Question your assumptions. When we overthink a conversation, it's usually because we're assuming how someone else has perceived us or what they might be thinking. Take a moment to ask, am I assuming something I don't know for sure? Because assumptions are dangerous. When we assume, we end up creating stories that have nothing to do with reality. We'll never know what other people are thinking. So, what is the point of trying to assume that? Give yourself a break. Focus on what you actually said or did, not how it could be interpreted. I know that sounds really hard, but overthinking thrives on what ifs. What if they took it the wrong way? What if they think I'm being rude? You know the drill. Instead, ground yourself in the facts. What did I actually say, or what did I actually do? Did I come from a place of honesty or kindness? What was my intention? When you focus on what really happened rather than the hypothetical interpretations, it's easier to put things into perspective. Remember, people are way more focused on themselves rather than on you. Most people are way too busy worrying about their own lives, their own conversations, and their own overthinking to dwell on something you said or did. Reminding yourself of this can help lessen the feeling that everyone is analyzing your every word. Reframe the conversation as practice, not perfection. No conversation has to be flawless. If you feel awkward or you think you misspoke, remind yourself this is just one of the countless interactions you'll have. Think of it as a chance to learn more about yourself and what you do differently next time rather than something to be fixed. Shift your attention to the present moment. Sometimes we need direct interruption to stop the replay. So take a moment to notice your surroundings, do a quick breathing exercise, or get up and move. Grounding yourself in the present can be the quickest way to let go of that mental replay. Overthinking loves to hang out in the past and the future. But when we're actually present, it's way harder for the mental noise to take over. A little trick that I like is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding technique. 5 things you see, 4 that you feel, 3 that you hear, 2 that you smell, and 1 that you taste. And it sounds completely random, but it works. The last time I did this, oh gosh, I got to the taste part and I was like, what is that taste? What have I eaten today? It was garlic dip. That stuff lingers. Knowing when to seek support. If overthinking is taking over your life, don't be afraid to reach out. Sometimes a friend, mentor, or therapist can help break the cycle and give you a fresh perspective. And I actually spoke with Paralympian Angus Hinksman a few weeks ago, and he mentioned this exact same thing. He was basically by himself for a few weeks leading up to his event. His event was at the end of the Paris Paralympics. And he found himself with a lot of time on his hands and a lot of time in his head. And when he looks back on that moment, he said that the one thing that he would do differently is call people and talk to them. So figure out who your support group is, and maybe you have different people for different situations. But talking is really important. Here is the last piece of the puzzle, or another piece of the puzzle. Self-trust builds when we take action, not when we wait for the perfect moment or the guaranteed result. Just start. Make a decision, follow through, and see what happens. Because the more you practice, the more your confidence grows, the more you trust in yourself, because you're basically showing up. Like I said before, when you show up, take action for yourself, you're telling yourself that you can trust yourself. You can trust that when you say you're going to do something, you follow through with it. So, on that note, that's what I got for overthinking and self-trust. And, none of this is about getting it perfect or never overthinking again, because I don't think that's possible. But what is possible is taking small steps to learn to trust ourselves and remind us that overthinking is just the voice. We've all got it. And, you can change that voice and reframe everything that you say into something positive because, when you can trust yourself, as we said, because you've shown up, you showed yourself, why not change the little voice to be the little cheerleader that you deserve? How impactful would that be? If you can imagine all the things that you've said that are maybe not so nice and the doubts that you've had on yourself, what if you completely flipped them? What if you were your biggest cheerleader? What if everything you said was backed by huge screams, stadium screaming, cheering for you, rooting for you? How would that change the way you show up? How would that change the types of choices that you make? It'll be fun to find out. If you found this helpful, or if you're an overthinking pro like myself, make sure to subscribe, leave a rating, and maybe even share it with your friends who could use a little less mental chatter. I believe in you. You've got this. Put in the work, and I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you've had any of these things come up for you, these little overthinking scenarios, because they happen for me a lot, but I am learning to deal with it and certainly question when they come up. And a lot of the time they are based on fear and past mistakes that have happened, and that's okay. So it is just about acknowledging that and moving on from that. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, you're bloody awesome. And I thank you so much. Like, honestly, I still can't believe that I get one listen, let alone hundreds of you from all over the world. It blows my mind. Thank you so much. I think you're incredible. You're going to do awesome things. And on that note, stay awesome, and I'll see you in the next one.